My name is David Wellens, and I've been asked to describe this flute for Jim Warshower. This flute is a Haynes flute, handmade French, offset G, closed hole, C foot. It has an 11,000th tubing. This is important to note. Light tube flutes only go down to 14 thousandths. This is 11. Very, very thin for silver. In other materials you can get it thinner. This was known as the Laurent model after Georges Laurent, French player, played with the Boston Symphony, and he had Haynes make flutes to his specifications, which, if there was ever the American embodiment of the French flute ideal, this is it. It's renowned for its top register especially, but very flowing, very easy instrument to play, extremely responsive. But what I wanted to talk a bit about is the actual condition of this instrument. I did the work on this instrument, and I spent 20 years in the Haynes shop as their quality control and head joint cutter and tester, and I learned all about padding from Louis DeVoe, whose standards were incredibly high. He taught me how to put in traditional pads and have there be no impressions, but have them seated perfectly. The idea is that over time, if any impressions appeared, it would be from the touch of that particular player. And then even then, those impressions would be more dense in the skin than they would be actual deep impressions in the felt itself. That's the pad job. The mechanics of the instrument are excellent, and what I mean by that is not only the adjustment of keys with keys, but the actual mechanics. How solid is this instrument? The keys, the motion this way. I would advise anyone that's looking for a flute of this era, this is 1949, or even a new flute, to do this test. See if you can move the keys up and down the flute. At the very worst, you should be able to feel it, but never see it. If you can see the motion, there's too much motion this way, up the flute and down the flute. What does this mean? This means that each time that key comes down, if there's play on either side of that key, it may come down in a slightly different place each time. So excellent adjustment is impossible. With my overhaul and restoration of the mechanism, there is virtually no play here. That's very important to understand, because this tells you how you can expect this flute to be in years to come. It could play very good right now because, let's say, the pads are soft and there were deep impressions put in them, but a month from now it may not play well because the keys aren't stable, moving this way and that way. So there's also a certain feel to an instrument that the keys are very tight in that way. I don't mean binding, but just very what we call slop in the field. No slop either way. So it's a very crisp feeling instrument. I stand behind this work unconditionally, and I think that if you're in the market for a 11,000th silver tube, George Laurent model Haynes flute, I think that this is an excellent choice, and I think that you'll agree when you get it. It plays beautifully, and it's also in outstanding condition cosmetically and mechanically.